Hello there, Texas Deacon here. Thank you for joining me. I'm calling this one Red Pill number 4, March of Dimes. Now, please listen to what I say and don't misunderstand what I'm saying. As I stated in other programs, that I went to school in a little small county school. The entire 8 grades had about 125 students. Polio was a scare back then. In the summertime when the polio season came around, it hung over your head big times. 2 of my first cousins got polio. One of them recovered fairly good, enough that she could walk and you don't really know her to understand her legs. One leg a little smaller than the other one. And another one of my cousins also got it. It affected her legs, and to this day she wears a full leg brace, and she's in her 70s now. So polio was a super scare when the summer polio season came around. Now, the March of Dimes is looking for a cure. And every year they passed out a little card about so big, had a slot for 5 dimes. They'd give it to you at school, and you went home and you put 5 dimes in and you brought it back to school. Now, we were poor people. Both of my parents were sharecroppers. A sharecropper is where you live on somebody else's land and farm, and he gets a portion of what you make. Wasn't a lot of money around our house, although at that time my father did have a public job, but it was the lowest paying one there was. Wasn't a lot of money. Now, when they gave me my little card to take home, I would bring it back 3 or 4 days later. Of course, everybody else brought theirs back the next day with 5 dimes in it. I bring mine back 2, 3, 4 days later with a dime, a nickel, maybe 3 pennies. Super embarrassed by having to do that. Now, everybody, being a small school, everybody knew that I did not bring my 5 dimes. And they talked about me behind my back because I didn't, and it was embarrassing. It was just a social thing with me back then. Now, actually, not very much of that was true. The bit about me only putting in the dime and the nickel and the pennies was true, and everybody else brought theirs back with dimes. No, I'm sure there's others that didn't. I remember one old boy, his mother stuck a $1 bill in one of his slots. But that's the way I felt. To me, that's the way things work, but that's the way I felt down deep. Then a man by the name of Dr. Salt, the Salt vaccine. They come around and took a little sugar cube, put a couple of drops of this pink liquid on it and gave it to you. No more polio. Cured. Oh, I was so happy. The big thing, I wasn't going to be socially embarrassed anymore by not having 5 dimes to put in my card. The next year, cards came around again, and even at that young age, I rationalized it's going to cost a lot of money to get this medicine out to everybody. Plus, there's a lot of people being helped by the March of Dimes that already had polio. That day and time when you would go to town, it was not uncommon to see 2 or 3 people, usually children, sometimes adults, in wheelchairs, or polio victims, this and that. In fact, one president, Franklin Roosevelt, was a polio victim, so it did not discriminate between rich and poor. So here I got another card. Well, I figured that'd be the last one. But no, next year I got another one. And the year after, and the year after. And guess what? Polio had been wiped out. But the March of Dimes is still around, and I'm not criticizing that organization. To me, they are probably the greatest organization on earth of that nature. They have saved so many lives for so little money. They have prevented people living a life in a wheelchair or an iron lung. Does anybody know what an iron lung is? Only your head was out. You lived in that iron lung where, by changing the pressure, breathed for you, made your chest cavity expand and then collapse. So I'm not criticizing them at all. The reason I'm telling this story is to try to help you to understand that in government especially, once a program, a policy gets in place, it's going to be there. It won't go anywhere. Not until God himself comes down and has direct one-on-one influence with our government. So cutting these policies is not going to happen, people. It's not. Just like the March of Dimes is still out there, and I'm sure they do wonderful work. And if anybody with the March of Dimes hears this, please understand that I'm not coming down on them. I've said it over and over. As far as I'm concerned, they're, as I said earlier, the greatest organization of this kind in the world. Right up there with the Salvation Army. But they are a classic example of what's going on in the world today, and what will continue to go on in the world, and what I don't believe is going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. You give my words some thought, and you look around, and you wake up. It's one of the things that made me awake. I love you all. May God bless America. May God bless the Republic of Texas. And may God bless you and yours.